Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of Clervaux in Luxembourg. But let's start by zooming out so you can see exactly where we are in the world. Maybe you've never heard of Luxembourg, or you've heard of it, maybe you've heard of Benelux, but you don't know where it is. Let's find that out right now to start. There's Luxembourg. The capital's Luxembourg City down here in the south. We're up in the north of the country. It's bordered by Belgium, bordered by France, and bordered by Germany. Very important because in Luxembourg they speak French and German and also Luxembourgish. Clervaux is its French name and apparently its English language name too. In German, it's known as Clerf, I think. And I think in Luxembourgish, it's like Clerf or something. I'm not an expert in Luxembourgish at all, so don't quote me on that. But in English, we say Clervaux, so that's what we'll say. Clervaux is located, like I said, in the north of Luxembourg in the Ardennes mountain range. Up here you can see it gets very mountainy, and as you go south, it flattens out a little bit down here. The capital is the town of Clervaux, which is right here, which if I hit the 3D, you'll see that it's kind of tucked into this little like armpit of mountain here. And what's very important in this town is the chateau, which is from the 12th century. Many lords ruled over Luxembourg. One of them built this castle, and there's many other castles throughout Luxembourg as well. But Luxembourg would become its own thing. It was much bigger once upon a time. It has shrunk down as other powers gobbled up bits of it, but Central Luxembourg has always held strong for quite a while. We'll talk about this in a second. Hold on to that, and this too. But yeah, Luxembourg Castle's been here since the 12th century. However, this castle has been rebuilt because the castle was entirely destroyed. You can see War Memorial here too. So what's up with all the war stuff, and how did this castle get destroyed? Well, pretty much, Fête de la Liberté, 1944, very important. Let's talk about it. Because there's really only one major historical thing that happened in this area, and this was during World War II. So at that time, Germany had invaded Luxembourg. D-Day happened in June 1944. The Allies were making their way across Western Europe, heading toward Berlin. They entered Luxembourg and liberated it. But in December of 1944, the Germans did one last big push in this area of Luxembourg. You could say that their line bulged out, attacking the Allies. And this long battle that lasted for many weeks was known as the Battle of the Bulge. It was the last major push that the German army performed, I suppose, before they were defeated by the Allies led by George S. Patton. The Germans would retreat and a few months later would surrender. So this whole town was pretty much destroyed. A lot of areas in Clervaux were destroyed during this very long and tough battle. There's a nice hiking trail up here where you can see the town. You can see the big church there. So it's very sadly, the castle was completely annihilated during that battle and has since been rebuilt. Good view up here. A lot of the stuff I read about Clervaux was like you have to do the hike around the town, so be sure to do that if you ever visit this town. So there is a museum here. Museum of the Battle of the Bulge. We can see mannequins here reenacting moments from the battle. See some, it looks like repair equipment, and a little shell right there. Oh, not having a good time. Many soldiers on both sides lost their lives, very heavy casualties during this battle. It was one last desperate attempt. But the Allies would win. All kinds of pew-pews here. And lots to see. Big cannons. They got a big tank. It's the flag of Luxembourg there, and that's the flag of Clervaux. And the EU flag and an American flag, because most of the Allied soldiers fighting here were Americans. But there is another museum in the castle showing off the family of man, which was a photo collage that was originally displayed in the MoMA, and I want to say the 1960s, by a photographer who was born in Luxembourg but grew up in New York City. This photographer, I wonder if it says his name somewhere. I don't remember it. Does it say on here? It does not. Does it say on here? It doesn't. Maybe I'll say it somewhere. I can't remember his name at the moment. But he collected photographs of everyday life from people all over the world and put them all together in different categories and such, just to show that we are all human beings. And even though we come from very different cultures with very different lifestyles, language, dress, housing, religions, we're all human beings, and we all have so many more shared experiences than differences. Apparently it's very poignant and very touching. Well, that's, I guess, what it looked like after World War II. I read that it was reduced to rubble, but maybe not all of it. A nice little book area here, maybe a bookstore. Some of the darker aspects of humanity, alongside some of the lighter ones. The family of man. This is the fire that will help the generations to come if they use it in a sacred manner. But if they do not use it well, the fire will have the power to do them great harm. It's a quote from a Sioux individual. This looks like pictures having to do with atomic energy, because of course at that time. Look at this. Photo taken from the stage. You can see the conductor here. Everyone's eyes watching. It's a pretty neat photograph. But yeah. Look at these. Showing what people do around the world with straw, apparently. Look at this little all dressed up. Yeah. Oh, these nuns. Looks like the nuns are playing on the playground on the little spinny carousel there. Digging in the sand. There's the beautiful castle and the grounds with the tanks and weapons still there from the battle. Yeah, it was interesting. I was just reading about Luxembourg in general, just to kind of get the gist of history and all of that. But the family of man came up even when I wasn't trying to research Clervaux. So this is a very famous place in Luxembourg, not just Clervaux. But in Clervaux is this abbey that was populated by Benedictine monks from France who came here. And apparently they are experts in Gregorian chant. Evidently, it's one of the best places to come to experience live Gregorian chanting. And they make apple juice here. Apparently you can buy some really great apple juice. Dieu est d'amour. God is love. Lots of art, photography here as well. The gravesite there as well. Wonder if it's from the war. Yeah, look at that. They got all the apples there. Making apple juice. Yum, yum, yum. I love apple juice. Apple juice takes me back to preschool when it was like snack time. And we get popcorn and crackers, and apple juice. It just tastes like childhood. But as you can see, the rest of this canton, it's known as Clervaux, a canton in Luxembourg, is very agricultural, which is interesting up high in the mountains. A lot of these farms are like terraced farms up here in the mountains. But evidently there's lots of neat hiking. Looks like, I wonder what these are. Doesn't say. I know there's lots of war memorials. Yeah, see right here. There are lots and lots of war memorials all throughout, not just Clervaux, but all of northern Luxembourg, because of the Battle of the Bulge and the Allies liberating this area, getting the Germans out. But I want to be careful because this is a very tiny area. Yeah, make sure we don't go too far. There's some windmills here, apparently. But I think, if I remember, that doesn't have any pictures. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I wonder if this has pictures. Grotto. Yeah, it does. A little grotto with Mary inside of it. It's nice. That is in German. That's in French. This grotto. Anyway, I can only read like every other word. My French is okay. It's not great. But I think that's pretty much all that there is to show you here. Let me see if there's anything else that was important. I think that was about it. Yep, there's lots of hiking around. I would encourage you, though, to explore this area yourself and see if you can find anything. It's very, very hilly up here. Well, mountainy. We're in the mountains. There's a golf course. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing. We're going to move from Western Europe over to Eastern Europe and talk about Romania next. And I got some neat things to show you there on Google Earth, including an actual haunted forest. I know, like, let's find a forest here. Let's find a forest. Surely we can find a slideshow of a forest so that you can see that and be like, oh, that's a nice forest. And then we're going to go look at a creepy forest. Surely I can find a wooded area here. Maybe even just outside of Clervaux. How about over here? Maybe not. I was hoping to find a little hiking trail in the woods. Anything? How about the 3 border point? Ta-da! Here we go. Perfect. We'll end it here. This is a nice forest. This is very peaceful. Look at this. Isn't that lovely? I would have a nice hike around here. Look at the beautiful trees, the sunlight dappling in. There's that. There's the Belgium, Germany, Luxembourg border here. There they are. Good old triple border. This beautiful forested area. We're going to look at a forest in Romania that is absolutely creepy. It is very uncomfortable, very unsettling. I know if you've seen some of my videos where I'm looking at forests, I'm either going, oh, it's so pretty, or this forest creeps me out. There's like a spiritual presence here. There's fairies here. They're dangerous. Be careful in these woods. I get that feeling times 20 in this haunted forest in Romania. So I hope I've hyped it up. I'm sure you're going to want to check it out. Also, be sure to hype this video. I'm sure Luxembourg is not going to get a lot of people's attention. So if you could hype this video, I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and let me know all your thoughts down below in the comments. I hope that you found this video to be relaxing and educational. And I hope that you have a good night. Good night.